Latter-day Saints love the Scriptures. We preach and we teach and we rejoice over the Scriptures, and we try to learn as much about where each of these sacred books came from. But of the sacred books that Latter-day Saints study, there's really only one that we can go back to the exact birthplace and know the exact day when it started to be created, and that's the Doctrine and Covenants. In this structure, the John Johnson home in Hiram, Ohio, is the birthplace of the Doctrine and Covenants. Joseph Smith and other leaders of the church held a conference here in 1831 where they discussed the need to publish the revelations that Joseph Smith had received. They went back and forth and talked about the best way to publish them and some of the things that they wanted to include. And there are several sections of the Doctrine and Covenants that are linked to this effort, including Section 1, Section 133, and also Sections 67, 68, 69, and 70. In Section 67 of the Doctrine and Covenants, some of the leaders that were present at this meeting had questions about some of the language that was used in the Revelations, specifically Section 1 of the Doctrine and Covenants, which was received around this time as the preface. So some of them challenged Joseph Smith and brought up the fact that maybe it would be better to have a person that had more learning to receive or give the revelations. The person that they chose to try and create a revelation was William McLellin. In fact, Joseph Smith received Section 67, where the Lord acknowledges that Joseph Smith and Joseph Smith's learning isn't perfect. The Lord said, "Your eyes have been upon my servant Joseph Smith Jr., and his language you have known, and his imperfections you have known, and you have sought in your hearts knowledge that you might express beyond his language. This you also know." But the Lord, while acknowledging that Joseph Smith isn't a perfect servant, also issues a challenge about the revelation. In the next verse, he says, "Seek ye out of the book of commandments, even the least that is among them, and appoint him that is most wise among you. And if there be any among you that shall make any one like unto it, then ye are justified in saying that you do not know that they are true. But if you cannot make one like unto it, ye are under condemnation if you do not bear record that they are true." So the men at the conference chose William McLellin, who was a school teacher, to try and create a revelation similar to what Joseph Smith was able to receive. Joseph Smith later on acknowledged that McLellin, having more learning than sense, did make the attempt. And we don't know exactly what McLellin wrote or what he even tried to write, but we do know that at the end of the day, everyone acknowledged that the revelations given to Joseph Smith were far superior than anything William McLellin was able to create. And they were willing to put their signatures as witnesses that the Doctrine and Covenants was a book containing true revelations that came from God. Now, in our day, we work with imperfect church leaders as well. These leaders are people that make mistakes and sometimes might not always say the right things, but they're still inspired servants of God. Joseph Smith wasn't perfect, and he didn't always say or write the right things, but the Lord used him as an instrument to convey his will. Every revelation, in a certain sense, takes on some of the characteristics of the person that receives it. We don't believe that Joseph Smith was just a human fax machine. But we also believe that the revelations that Joseph Smith received came from God and speak forth the truths of God and witness to truths of salvation that we need to know in order to be saved. The Doctrine and Covenants, which began at this spot and is still being written, is one of those real witnesses that God not only spoke to ancient prophets back then, but that God still speaks to prophets in our time and will continue to speak to them in the future. As long as we continue to need revelation and guidance from God, God will speak to us, and revelations like those sacred writings that are in the Doctrine and Covenants will continue to be given to us.